This follow the tech, what we're going to do is we have a broken, I'll show it to you. Right here, you can see hinge in this laptop. So I'm going to show you how I am going to fix this and actually try to make it look decent again. So that is today's follow the tech. Alright, so what we're going to do is first we have to pop off this top bezel. So what we're going to do is we're going to close up the laptop, look at the bottom here, and see where the screws are. And they're right here underneath on the bottom. So first you want to do is you want to pop out the battery. Get your screwdriver kit. Now usually these are 2.0 screws. So that is what we're going to use. And I can see that we got some different type of screws here. So some of them may be 1.0, some of them may be 2.0. But we're going to have to take them out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, excuse me there. What I'm going to use is I'm going to use my magnetic screw holder that I have to put all of these screws in. So I'm going to take out each and every one of them. Now I'm going to come back to you here in a bit after I take out these screws. Okay, one little point. This actually right here has a cover over it, and usually there are screws underneath of it. So remember, sometimes if it doesn't pop off, or you got a keyboard underneath, most likely underneath of certain areas, you got to look for screws. And there are some in this model. The reason that the hinge popped out was some screws popped out right here in this hole. So what I'm going to do is I will be replacing the screws with new screws that you can easily find on Newegg or you can find on Amazon. I'll put a link up in the comments of how you can find these screws and where you can get them at. I warn you, sometimes it's going to be a little bit hard. You're going to hear these little pops here, and that's because the plastic has little edges right here. You can see right like this that actually have little hinges inside of them, and they're going to take a little bit of effort to unpop. Now this is an older computer, so granted, sometimes you're going to have something that may break off. You may have something that just isn't going to work so well because the plastic ages over time and it weakens. Okay, good news. Underneath of the feet, no screws. However, there are a lot of brands. Fujitsu is one of them, Toshiba, some of the HP models, and a few others actually will hide screws underneath of the feet. So it's something to remember. If you got little rubber underneath, these little rubber gadgets right here that actually hold and keep the computer still, there may be actually a screw underneath. So if you're pulling up and it's not actually popping off, it's a good idea to look underneath and to see if there's actually possibly a screw underneath there. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to solder in the one standoff, and I'm going to show you how it's going to melt the plastic around the standoff and it's actually going to hold it in. The standoff is right here. We're going to heat the standoff nice and hot until it holds in. Okay, now it's actually level And it's actually nice and in, and the plastic melted around it. And boy, is it hot. So we're going to have to do this with two others. I'm not going to show you the two others because honestly, it's the same situation with the two other standoffs that I have to do. But that's the main way of actually having how to fix one of these standoffs. When these little guys, I know it's hard to see it, these little gold guys break off, where the screw goes into, what you do is you just take simply where it broke off, you take a soldering iron, put it in the middle of it where the screw goes, and then have the iron go be very hot, and then have it just push it down gently right into the plastic. The standoff will be able to take the heat, and what will happen is then it will just melt right into it, and it'll simply hold. Once it cools down, you give it time to actually settle, it'll cool down enough, and then the standoff will hold. Then it'll be able to take a screw. Remember, do not over tighten these screws, because while they are in place, they can break again. So, get it decently tight, but don't. Alright, we got it in. It's all taken care of. You can see that it actually works. Goes back and forth. And the screen turns on. It works normally. The computer's back to working order. And that is the way that you actually fix one of these computers with a broken hinge. And it is no longer broken anymore. So I don't have to buy a bottom or go anywhere on eBay or anything to try to find the piece to replace it. I can just simply with one of these standoffs or inlets, whatever, however you prefer to call it. You can just use a soldering iron, push it down in there. I let it cure overnight to make sure that it was strong and really hard for the screw, but outside of that, it worked. So, please be kind, please subscribe, and we'll see you later. Thank you for following the tech.